So hello all. So this is my third session, third lesson in the reproductive health. Reproductive health. We are dealing with the third part of it, portion 3. So in here we'll deal with the population stabilization and the birth control. Yes, population stabilization and birth control is the next segment that is there in the reproductive health. And just to recap what we have discussed it so far, so we have seen the definition of the human reproductive health, and following that we have seen the problems and the strategies in the Indian society as far as the reproductive health is concerned. Then we have tried to understand the amniocentesis procedure. So amniocentesis procedure, one, why it is done, and why is there a ban on amniocentesis, and in which situation can you be able to do the amniocentesis and where you should not be doing. Then we have seen the Saheli, a oral contraceptive drug. Saheli, a oral contraceptive drug developed by this institute, Central Drug Research Institute. So those are some aspects we have seen so far in the human reproductive health lesson. And to continue the reproductive health, so we are seeing the population stabilization and birth control options that we have for the stabilization of the population, and why do we need to do that is also a question. So first we'll try to briefly understand what is population at all. What is population at all? And then what is the case with India of the population, right? So we don't go all that much detail about the population and various aspects of it. And we have one more lesson regarding the population and various aspects in the second year itself. The lesson is organisms and population, where you would see some detailed study about this population studies in there. But here we try to understand the population numbers in India to put it in perspective, why you need to regulate it. Why you need to regulate it? Because of the huge numbers, the need of the regulation will be briefly discussed here. So anyway, so the population study, right? The scientific study of a human population. Scientific study of a human population is called as demography, right? The scientific study of human population is called as demography. So obviously you can see two words that are there here. Demo is people, graphos is the right. That means study of the people is called as the demography, particularly the human population. So when I say population mostly deals with one particular species, right? When you take count of a population, you are only taking the count of one single species in a community here. Since we are talking about the humans here, we are taking the population of the humans as a species. As a species, you can see that here population, it is defined as total number of individuals of a species present in a particular area in a given time, right? In a given time, that should be there in a specific time period. If you take the human population count is normally is called as the census, right? Normally it is referred as the census. Human population count is normally is called as the census, we would call it. Yes, so it is called as the census. Yes, human population is called as the census. In India, it is taken in the first 4 months of a decade. That means for every 10 years, the population is count is taken to understand various metrics of the population, right? The literacy rate, maternal, infant mortality rate, or maternal mortality rate, literacy rate, and as well as development indexes. All that will be studied every decade. Every 10 years it will be studied, and it will be completed within 4 months of that particular decade, right? The most recent count of the Indian population was in 2011, and we are turning the decade in the following year, 2021. So we are in 2020, so we have completed the decade, and there might be a population count in 2021 again, right? And the count before the 2011 was in 2001. 2001. Now the recent count is 2011 itself, right? So here, so there is some numbers. There are some numbers regarding this population count. So it's okay for you to be remembering. Sometimes these numbers will also be asked. So please remember, these numbers are already given in the NCERT book. So it's better to have some idea about these numbers. So we'll briefly see about these numbers, right? If you take the world population was around 200 million, 200 million, that is 2 billion in 1990. 1990, by 2000 it is 6 billion, 6 billion, and by 2011, so it is 7.2 billion is the population of the world. Let's see, you see significant strides are there in the population numbers, right? So it's just 1990 the population was just 2 billion, and by 2000, by 2000 it is 6 billion, and just in a decade, so it has climbed up to 7.2 billion, right? And India is particularly a remarkable progress. I mean, India has seen remarkable progress in the population growth. So that is, at the time of attaining independence, at the time of attaining independence in 1947, the Indian population was just 350 million. 350 million. After the attaining independence, after attaining independence, the population has crossed a billion mark by 2000. By 2000, the Indian population was a billion. Now it is 1.2 billion by 2011 of May, May of 2011, May of 2011. It is 1.2 billion is the Indian population. You can see the huge, humongous growth that has seen in the population growth of India. What are the reasons we have this significant increase in the population growth? You can see that here the reason for the significant growth of population is the rapid decline, right? Rapid decline in the death rate, in the maternal mortality rate, and as well as infant mortality rate, as well as increase of people in their reproductive age are the reasons for this, right? India has one of the nations which has more younger people, right? We are the people of young, right? We are the younger nation. These people are at the marriageable age, so that they can, their fertility rates are more, they can produce more children. And as well, because of the better institutional care nowadays that has come about, because of the better institutional care, there is rapid decline, right? There is rapid decline in the death rate in the form of maternal mortality and as well as infant mortality. It used to be more. It used to be more before, mm, uh, before before all these scientific advancements have come, but nowadays they have been reduced. They have been reduced. As a result of that, there is significant decline. So these are the reasons, right? So remember all these reasons in the options, the statement related questions. They'll mix these statements up and they'll ask you to identify, right? So these are the reasons. And apart from this, the RCH programs, if you recall, right? RCH is reproductive and child health care programs, right? Through these programs you're able to bring down the population growth. It is only to the marginal. So what is this RCH program is? By these programs, you have tried to educate these people of marriageable age of the importance of desired family sizes, right? Of the importance of the birth control options, of the importance of the desired family sizes, birth control options, family planning. All those have been made to understand to this couple. So because of this creating awareness, because of this awareness that has been created, and some population growth has been reduced, has been reduced, but it is only marginal. It is only marginal. That It's not that significant decrease has not taken place. If you take according to 2011 census report, 2011 census report, in India, the population growth is less than 2%, less than 2%, and the small percentage of increase could lead to the population growing in huge numbers. So at rate the population could increase very rapidly, because already we have the existing population in very huge numbers, that is 1.2 billion is not a small number, and even as small growth as less than 2% can increase the population to huge numbers. That is why the awareness, to creating awareness about the various birth control options will play a very important role, to understanding the importance of desired family sizes and birth control options. And alarming growth, so what is the problems that might come, right? The problems that might come with the population growth, is that could lead to absolute scarcity, right? Absolute scarcity of even the basic requirements, right? Absolute scarcity of even the basic requirements, such as the food, shelter, and clothing, in spite of significant progress we have made in those areas, right? So India initially was the poverty stricken country, but we are able to made huge progress in the form of green revolution. We are able to pull out the Indian population out of the poverty, and we are able to provide them food, shelter, and clothing, thankfully, with the advancements. But if the population goes on increasing like this, so we might find it difficult to provide the food, the shelter, clothing to all these people being born. That is why there has to be there has to be there has to be awareness to reduce the population growth. And what are some measures the government of India has taken to check the population growth? One is the family planning program. The most important step is to overcome the population growth is to motivate smaller families using vigorous contraceptive methods, right? Encourage people to use the contraceptives. Encourage families to have a family planning. And what is the benefit of using these contraceptive methods, birth control options, is it helps the marriageable couples to avoid unwanted births. So these unwanted births can be due to various reasons, because of the child marriages that can happen, or the child being put to sexual abuse or the sexual crime, right? So in that situation, the the birth is unwanted. The birth is unwanted, that can be avoided. And to bring about the wanted birth, that means, what does that mean here is, you can plan your pregnancy, you can plan your family wantedly. It's not something that is accidental, right? Accidental pregnancies will happen, but you can plan your pregnancy with the help of these contraceptive methods when you want to bring your child into your life. That's absolutely your decision. When the couple when you plan the contraceptive methods that are available, and to regulate the interval between the pregnancies, right? So this is very essential in the nutritional standpoint, and as well as overall growth of a child. The spacing that we are speaking of here, right? The spacing between the children, right? At least 2 to 3 years of the spacing will ensure the proper nutrition, proper growth, and proper sufficient care for the child that is being born, right? And as well, to determine the number of children in the family, and what is the desired family size that you should have, and you have certain time to plan about your family, how to go about planning the life ahead. Yes, all those options are wonderful options for the family to have if for the family to have a better awareness about the required family size. Okay, so this is about the family planning program. So that is there, so with the help of the contraceptive methods. So how does the government creates awareness is, we have seen previously. So the government advertises in the media, in the print media, audio and visual media, in the form of these posters and bills, right, showing happy couples with the slogan that is hum do hamara do is the slogan that is given by government of India, right? So we are two and we have two kind of situation here. So hum do hamara do is so we are two couples and we'll have two children, so that is the hum do hamara do slogan that is given by government of India to educate people about the importance of the smaller families and many couples. So mostly young and urban young and urban working ones have adopted one child. It's a wish of these people to have one child, right? But the government advertisement takes us to have the slogan, advertises to have two children. And people who are educated, people who make conscious choice can also go for this one child not, but it's not the policy of the government. It's the choice of the couple involved to have the number of children they require to have. And the statutory raising of the marriageable age of fertile couples is 18 for the females, right? For the females, and males is 21 years. So this is the legal age. This we have already explained. So these are the some measures. You can see that here government is creating awareness about the contraceptive methods, right? Creating awareness about contraceptive methods, and as well as it is advertising the importance of smaller families in the form of giving the slogans, hum do hamara do slogan. And as well as it is raising the legal age for the females in the 18 years, and the males that is in the 21 years. And as well it gives some incentives, right? It gives some incentives to couple with smaller families to tackle the problem of the huge population growth. Yes, so those are the various issues that we have with the population, and how the government responds to this population growth, right? So to recap what we have seen about the population in terms of India. So we have defined the population, right? We have understood the study of population is demography. Then we have defined the population, and then we have seen some numbers to put it in perspective, the increase in the population growth, right? Just brief numbers, some numbers to put it in perspective to have an idea about the population numbers, and why do we have this huge increase in the population numbers, right? These are the some reasons that we have to have this huge population increase. And RCH programs, how they have assisted in to reducing the population to a small number only, not that big number. And the percentage of population growth in India, and even this small percentage can also lead to huge population growth. Yes, and you need to remember the sixth point and as well as eighth point clearly, because sometimes statement related questions will be asked here, and these numbers also has to be remembered. And the measures of the population, right? So you need to remember this legal marriage age, right? Legal marriage age. And as well as this slogan by government of India sometimes can be asked, so please do remember this slogan as well. So next important segment in the reproductive health that we have is the contraceptive methods is nothing but the birth control methods. And this is the most important chapter in the reproductive health, because this is um, the go to area for the examiner to ask questions very frequently. So please, you need to be paying attention more here. So what are the contraceptive methods is the contraceptive methods are the methods which prevent unwanted birth or pregnancies are called as the contraceptive methods. Yes, birth control options, right? Just now we have seen here. So unwanted births can avoid, wanted births can be brought about, and as well as we can give the sufficient space, and as well as number of children. All these four goals can be achieved with the help of the contraceptive methods. And when you say contraceptive, what is the nature of the contraceptive? What is the nature of the contraceptive is it should be user friendly. It should be user friendly. That means you should not have all these complications to use it, right? So if it is all complicated to use, a layman a layman cannot use it, right? And people who is difficult to use it might not find it easy to use and might not find it useful to use as well. So that is why it has to be user friendly, easy to use, and it is easily available, right? So all kinds of retail stores. It's not just limited to only some societies or rich societies. It's not like that. It has to be easily available, and it has to be very effective, right? So the effective, that means it should be able to do what the user wants it to do, right? If the user wants it to delay the pregnancy, it should be able to delay the pregnancy, um, as long as the user requires to, right? So when only when it is effective will you be able to achieve that goal. And as well, reversible, obviously you are interfering with something natural, something as natural as getting the pregnancy, that means you are inducing some changes, in the physiology, in the physiology the and these changes has to be reversible in nature, and this should not permanently alter, right? Should not permanently alter the physiology. As long as you use it, and these changes can be made, but once you stop using it, and all the physiology has to be brought back to the normal, and the person has to be reproductively healthy again, and it should have least side effect. And there will obviously be some side effects, because you are interfering with something very natural. So there will be side effects, and you, we need to make sure there should be less side effects, right? So these definitions are very important. All the points, the definitions are very important, line to line have to be remembered, no exceptions given. And because statement related questions as it is will be asked, and it is also should be in no way interfere with the sexual drive, desire, and as well as sexual act of the user, right? So the sexual drive and sexual desire means the libido of the person, right? The sexual attraction, the sexual libido of the person, right? It should not be altered, right? It should not be altered, because it affects the reproductive physiology, right? The drive and the libido, the sexual libido should not be interfered. And as well as sexual act, the sexual act, the copulation, right? At the time of copulation, at the time of sex, right? It should not be uncomfortable to neither of the partners, right? Both partners should be comfortable to use them, comfortable to use them, and it should not interfere, right? It should not interfere with the sexual act of the neither of the partners. Both the male partners and the female partners should be comfortable, and it should not lead to any discomfort to the partners involved. And as well, so when you take these contraceptives have been put into various categories, different categories, broad categories are there. And what are these categories that we have, right? So wide range of options available for the couples involved here, right? People who are uh, planning to go for contraceptives, broad range of methods are there, broad range of methods are there. This they can go for based on their need, based on their individual need, right? So this they can uh, go for the contraception of their desire based on the recommendation, of um, their family doctor, right? Based on their reproductive gynecologist or the family doctor will recommend what kind of contraceptive method is suitable for you, and these are natural methods are there. So natural methods, these are very traditional methods. Then we have the barriers, right? Natural methods, barrier methods are there. And the most frequently used one is IUDs. We call them as intrauterine devices, right? IUDs are the intrauterine devices. And then we have the oral contraceptives. These are pills, right? These are the pills, small pills, oral contraceptive pills will be there. And injectables. Injectables are, something that can be injected into the blood circulation. And implants are, small tubules which can be implanted under the skin. We'll be studying about this. And we have the surgical methods. Surgical methods is sometimes permanent. Many of the times surgical methods are permanent in the form of tubectomy and the vasectomy. We'll also be studying about the surgical methods as well. So these are some methods that are available. And when I take the natural methods, we have three natural methods that are there, right? Three natural methods. One is the periodic abstinence, and there is something called withdrawal or coitus interruptus. Okay, this is the second one, withdrawal or the coitus interruptus. And the next one that we have is lactational amenorrhea. So lactational amenorrhea means absence of menstruation. So all these three methods are called as natural methods. Why are you calling it as the natural methods? Is so here these are planned according to the reproductive physiology of the person. There is no involvement of any drugs here, right? There is no involvement of any drugs. It's purely understanding the physiology of the females, particularly. According to the reproductive physiology, the sexual activity is planned to avoid the pregnancy. So here, the primary method of this natural methods is, work on the principles of avoiding the chances of ovum and sperm mating. By understanding the physiology, you try to stop the meeting of these two male and female gametes. And how does it happen? Is if you take the periodic abstinence is, so this happens by understanding the menstrual cycles of the female partner. So in this method, so couples will abstain or avoid, right? So they stay away from the sexual intercourse, that is coitus, from day 10 to day 17 of the menstrual cycle, when the ovulation could be expected. If you recall, the ovulation happens on day 14 of the menstruation, right? In the 28-day cycle. So the ovulation will happen on the day 14. So that is why, what we are trying to achieve here is, we are trying to stay away from the sexual intercourse 3 days prior and 3 days after the day of menstruation, to be on the safe side. Anyway, obviously you will be avoiding the sexual intercourse on the day 14 to be on the safe side. The sexual intercourse will be avoided 3 days prior to the ovulation and 3 days after the ovulation as well. So prior will be from the day 11. That means from the day 10 to day 17, complete 7 days in a week, the sexual intercourse, if it is avoided, there is it is unlikely that the gametes will meet because the ovulation will happen on the day 14, and it only survives, the ovum only survives for 24 hours, and it will be degenerating. So by day 18, the ovum will degenerate, and if there is any sperm as well, right, that will also be degenerating. Yes, so that is why the sexual intercourse is abstained or avoided in the 7 days of the menstrual cycle, where the ovulation is expected. So why in the 7 days is, we can see here, yes, the fertilizations are very high. The chances of fertilization is very high because this is the most fertile period is, we have the high chances, right? We have the high chance of this couple getting pregnant here, so therefore the couple has to understand the menstrual cycle of the female partner. Accordingly, they can plan their sexual act so that the pregnancy can be avoided. That is the periodic abstinence. And the next one that we have is withdrawal or the coitus interruptus. Coitus interruptus, yes, the name it is indicating here. The sex, coitus is the sex is being interrupted. Sex is being interrupted here. So this is one more method in which the male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before the ejaculation. So during the sexual act, towards the end of the act, there will be ejaculation of the sperm into semen into the female genital tract, and that has to be avoided. You can see the insemination has to be avoided, where you release the male gametes into the female reproductive tract, and that has been avoided now by withdrawing the male sexual organ, that is penis, right? Male sexual organ, that is penis, from the vagina, which is the female copulatory organ, so that the spermatozoa is not released into the female genital tract, right? And this method is moderately effective, right? So why it is less effective is because towards the end of the sexual intercourse, right, toward the end of the coitus, this man is experiencing the sexual pleasure, we call them as orgasms, right? Sexual pleasure, we call them as orgasms. And when this person is experiencing them, so it is very pleasing to the man. At times he might find it very difficult. At times he might find it very difficult. So that is why he might not be able to withdraw or pull it out of the uh, copulatory organ of the females, that is vagina. Okay. And that there is a failure there in the natural method, and even in the case of this periodic abstinence also, the failure rate is high. I mean, the contraceptive failure rate is high, because rarely the woman will have regular menstrual cycles, right? Sometimes this woman will experience irregular menstrual cycles. When the woman has irregular menstrual cycles and the dates can be miscalculated, as a result of that, there is a chance that this female partner can get pregnant in case of irregular menstrual cycles. There is also a risk here to get pregnant. And some sperms may also pass into vagina before ejaculation in the case of uh, the uh, the withdrawal and coitus interruptus methods. Yes, why is that is, normally the spermatozoa uh, is released towards the end of the pregnancy in the insemination or the ejaculation. At times there is a risk that some spermatozoa may slip out in this pre-ejaculatory fluid, we can say, in this pre-ejaculatory fluid, right? So accidentally they may slip out and they may be released to the vagina. So there is a chance that it can fail. And the next one that we have is lactational amenorrhea. Lactational amenorrhea is nothing but the absence of menstruation. Lactational amenorrhea is nothing but the absence of menstruation. It is a method based on the fact that ovulation is a method based on the fact that after uh, after the end of the gestation, during the lactation period, there is not going to be any ovulation, and therefore the cycle do not occur, right? So in the menstrual cycle, the ovulation will not happen after the parturition, during the lactation, right? So that means the first 6 months of the lactation period is intense lactation period, right? Intense lactation period. So therefore, if the mother breastfeeds the child fully, the chances of conception are almost nil. There is no chance of conception. However however this method is only successful, right, only effective up to a maximum period of 6 months, because 6 months is the intense lactation period, the guaranteed, um, kind of, not necessarily guaranteed, if the mother decide to breastfeed the child fully, breastfeed the child fully, then only you can have this lactational amenorrhea method will give better results, or it will be effective, right? So if this not regularly feeding the child, in such a case, the prolactin production might not be that well, might not be that uh, might not be that regularly released. In such a case, she might have the failure and she might have the menstrual cycles resulting in the pregnancy. But the point you need to be remembering here is the maximum period of the uh, contraceptive value that you are getting is for 6 months. And here the condition here is that she has to breastfeed her child fully in the 6 months of period. Then only you will have the better chances. The key word you need to be remembering here is lactational amenorrhea. It is absence of menstruation. It is also literal translation will be asked sometimes. And here, so since no medicines and the devices are used in methods, it is called as natural method, and the side effects are almost nil. Obviously, you are not interfering with anything here. You are not interfering with the physiology in any way. So that is why the side effects are almost nil, and the chances of failure though of this method are very high, right? So chances of failures are very high because of the reason that we have discussed. Yes, in the case of the first method that we have seen, that is periodic abstinence, right? Because of the irregular menstrual cycles, withdrawal. So two reasons we have given in the case of withdrawal, and lactational amenorrhea also we have seen the conditions where it might fail. Yes, so those are the natural methods that are available. So I'll be stopping the lesson here. I'll be stopping the lesson here, and we'll continue the same contraceptive methods in our next segment about the barrier methods. So we'll be completing various contraceptive methods in our next segment. Yes, please do follow, please do subscribe, and please press the bell icon, which is very important. You would be receiving the notifications, which would be immensely beneficial for you. And if you find this lesson useful, okay. So thank you. I'll be ending this session now.